Hi, good evening. Well, we don't have anything to read tonight, so I told you I would have a list, and a a list I do have. So we're going to talk about these things. Okay, in the Bible, it constantly calls Israel, the land of Israel, God's inheritance. Inheritance for what? Like a concession for losing the war? Like, hey, Dad, we're sorry for beating you up, but here you go, have this little piece of land. Good luck. Yeah. So, is that what it is? Like Israel and that tiny people in that tiny ass place. Okay. Okay, and then in the first couple of chapters of Genesis and a few other places in the Bible I can't really recall. But God's referred to as too. He uses the words us and we. And throughout the Bible, there's a lot of times where it seems like God is not, the God that's talking is not the God that we've read about. You know? Like, especially with, okay, um, especially like when he tells, who is it? The one guy, Abraham, to sacrifice Isaac. Like, does that really seem like something God would do? And then, well, we're reading about it, so he did it, but was it a different part of God? Like, if you remember some of the visions, the thing had 4 heads. Is God like that? You know? Um, and then in Ezekiel, it talks about a God above God with like a fiery throne and shit, right? Like super badass looking old dude. So it's like, it's kind of like, okay, all the gods get in this big ass fight, right? And then the son beats his father, so God beats super God. And then, like, God wins, right? And then, while God's recuperating from beating the old God, Satan comes in and tries to beat up God. And then God's like, nah, fuck you, Doug. You know? I don't know. In my head, it makes a great movie. Oh, okay. We're only at 4 minutes. Okay. So anyway, and then speaking of God's inheritance, and the hosts of heaven, we learned those are the other gods. So is it like the gods are playing Risk or were giant bath toys or something. It's like, I don't know, sometimes it seems like they might be playing Risk with the people. Okay. And then we read, and I think it was Hezekiah. It's like Hezekiah was doing all the great things while he had God. And then God left him because he wanted to see what he would do. And remember, I think I was talking about that then, spiritual warfare. Like, God wants to see what you'll do when he's not there. So, what else? Hold on. Blowing a trumpet or a horn. But I think you're supposed to do it in just a single blast. You know, something like that. But that seems to be a way to get God's attention. And before we even... Was Samson after David? Samson might have been before David. Yeah, Samson was before David. That is the saddest fucking story I have ever read in my entire life. And what I think happened, because you remember one of the rules is no touching dead things. Right? No touching dead things. And Samson ate that honey out of that dead lion. I remember he didn't tell his parents where it came from. So they all ate it. And Samson was cursed. Because that's a curse. To just curse. And bizarre shit that works. No, I'm just kidding. But I am not kidding about that Samson thing. Don't touch no dead thing. And then he just kept messing with foreign girls. And then, like, they would cry and annoy the shit out of him. And it's like, yeah, I would have divorced her. I don't care. She would have been shamed before I would have. I don't know why he didn't. He just, meh. But then we get to Saul. And Saul, God puts his own evil spirit on Saul. So we know God has evil in him because he gives it out randomly. And he hardens and softens people's hearts. Okay. And that's the other thing. And big guy, don't take this the wrong way, because I probably mean it the way I'm about to say it, but I apologize, but it's true. It seems like God does a lot of fighting with himself. And he uses people to fight himself, like God's got multiple personalities and we're the hunk of toys. That's Kelso. I don't know if you can hear that or not. But anyway, it seems like God is fighting himself, because God was for David, but God was also for Saul. And the only reason Saul hated David is because God made it that way. And the fucked up part about David is all these Christians, they love David, but they hate gay people. It's like if you read this story of David and then they're like, oh, well, their hearts intertwining. That's like brothers. It's like, isn't that what they say about soulmates? Isn't that what soulmates do? And then, like, they go in the field alone together in the middle of the night, just those two. And they made a promise before the Lord, or a covenant before the Lord. What kind of covenant were they making alone in the field in the middle of the night? I don't. It's like everybody, are you blind to that? But no, they're using kung fu word magic to make it flowery for them. It's like, no. David's definitely gay and you guys are hypocrites. That's what it is. And people are going to argue with me. That's not. Is that so you feel better? Is that so you feel justified in disliking gay people? So you can cling to this book and believe what people tell you instead of read it yourself? Fuck you. And the other thing about David, okay, David in his Psalms, he seems like he's so weak. So you think you have this perception of David, and they put the Psalms before you ever get to the story of David. So you probably just read really quick over what this next part is, because those Psalms make David seem like a pussy. Check it out. If you think Hitler was bad, did you know David, he handcuffed people in medieval handcuffs and made them walk themselves into a brick oven. These people knew they were about to die and they were handcuffed and thrown into a. They weren't even thrown, they were marched into a brick oven. Like, are you fucking kidding me? Hitler ain't got shit on that. And the Jew did that. And he played Peepin' Tom to a girl, then killed her husband. So it's like David, and I'm not saying nothing bad because he was God's homie, right? So it's like God was David's wingman and he was great. But these people lie about him. They want to make him seem all flowery and cute because God loved him. No, God loved him even though he was fucked up. Same with Moses. He always gives you a right-hand man that has what you don't have. Yeah. Moses had a stutter. And even in the New Testament, a lot of those guys, they were bad. They were some gnarly dudes, and Jesus hung out with them. God don't give a shit who you are, or what you do. You just gotta follow him. Be you, do you, just do the right thing. Okay. And the story of Solomon, listen, and it's the same with the story of Ezekiel. And you'll see me if you watch my older videos. All this stuff is on Rumble, by the way. All my old videos are on Rumble. But if you go back, all the story of Solomon, I tried to find the spot where a demon helped him build the temple. It was not a demon. It was a goldsmith or a coppersmith. Might have been a coppersmith. Helped Solomon build the temple. And then all the stuff that guy made, Solomon gathered it all up and buried it on a beach because he said, fuck this, do it again. For no real particular reason. Oh, yeah, because he wanted to make everything gold. That was why. Yeah, so a demon didn't help him build the temple. But Solomon did build temples to other gods. So maybe one helped him on one of those other temples, but he did not help him build God's house. So, like, that's not what happened. And there is probably more in there. Oh, the rules. These people don't follow the fucking rules at all. And then they add new rules. Or make up rules and pretend God set them. Mm-mm. And then precepts. I think what I might do is I might do where I read just the rules of the Bible and see like what's a precept. There's no fucking precept for God. Like, I don't know what the fuck that is. And then, like, horns on the altar. I'm pretty sure there were no horns on the altar. And I don't know where the fuck that came from. You gotta grab hold of them and then you won't die. It's like, what? I don't know. But these Jews do seem like Democrats. A lot of them seem like Democrats. So Democrats must be being controlled by Jews. And the story of Ezekiel, I might be missing something. Just like with the story of Solomon, I might be missing something. Or maybe their stories are in that book that the Jews made up so they don't feel so bad. Although they should feel bad forever. For fucking ever. These people are terrible. But I don't know what they mean by, like, the way he prophesied. They didn't want people to do that or to prophesy like that. So they wanted to exclude this book. It's like, for why? And knowing what I know now, like, people want to conceal the truth because it hurts their tampons. So it's like, it really makes me want to reread it again and see if I'm missing something. But his vision of the big God, the God of gods, the God of ancient is what he called him. The God of ancient on that fiery throne. I want to know if that was the God that God beat. If there was that giant war of the gods for the Big Bang, and maybe that's why God was chilling just on the water, like, that was a hell of a battle. Or was it something like that's when Satan started? I don't know. Before I ever read the book of Ezekiel, I figured the Big Bang was the battle of the gods, right? And then God just said, fuck it. And then he sat regretfully on the face of the water. But then they kept calling Israel God's inheritance, right? So it's like, well, what did he inherit it from? Was it the piece that he got for what? And then in Ezekiel, it's like the God of ancient, right? And then it's the God of ancient on his fiery throne. So it's like, that is the old guy up there, right? On this fiery throne. So it's like, now I gotta rethink everything. It's like, fuck. So we're just gonna read through the New Testament, and then we're going to reread the Old Testament with the newfound knowledge that we have, that we can't remember right off the top of our heads. So we got to get through the New Testament. And apparently, it's going to be one hell of a story, man. And also, I think I have figured out how we might read the Old Testament next time. I think I figured it out. And for the New Testament, we're doing all the stories up until Jude. Then we're going to do Maccabees. Then we're going to do Revelation. That is my plan. But we are going to be doing it off of the computer like we did. Hold on. Like we did for the Old Testament. What am I doing in life? Oh, right here. Hold on. No. I don't know if there's books in the New Testament on here that isn't in the Bible? Okay. Okay. So I'm guessing after John. After John, it starts the writing of the letters. And aren't these mostly written by Paul? I don't know. I don't really know too much about the Bible or whatever, but I know the Old Testament. A lot of those books weren't in this Bible. So I guess I'm going to look to see what books aren't in that Bible. But I don't know. Nobody. There is one book that I know for sure is missing. There's one called the Book of Judas. And I read it. I stole it from a library a long while ago when they first found it. I guess it was at the library, so it wasn't when they first found it. But it was when they first made the documentary about it or whatever. I went and stole it from the library, and I don't have it anymore. But I was going to look for it, and I might read that after Matthew, Mark, Luke, John. Hold on, what is that? Matthew, Mark, Luke, John. Matthew, Mark, Luke, John. Yeah, and I might put Judas right here under John. Judas was an apostle too, so we should also get his side of the story. But anyway, I think that was it. So, was that it? Was that all on my list? Yeah, I think that was it. Oh, haha, there is something. In the Garden of Eden, everybody makes it about the snake. How does the snake walk and talk? Don't nobody give a fuck about that. How did God not know what they were doing? I thought God always pays attention. And constantly throughout this Bible, the prophets are like, pay attention to your people. They don't exactly say it in those words, but it's like, look upon your people. Yeah, because you're not looking. Because God's doing something else. God's not worried about that. God just waits for somebody to ask him for help. And it also says that. But how is that in the garden, God doesn't know what's happening? But in Job, God makes a deal with, say, a bet with Satan, right? Just because it's not written down doesn't mean it didn't happen. Who's to say God and Satan didn't make a bet then? You know, make it about the snake. Don't nobody give a shit about that. Why didn't God know what happened? Because God set them up. God knew it was going to happen. He just wanted them to do it. And I still have yet to find the thing about free will. The closest thing I found was the one guy asked, do you want this God or do you want your God? And they're like, we want God, until the next day. That was the closest I found. But it also does say he does want you to choose. He doesn't want to make you do it. He wants you to do it on your own. But not until you're completely broken. Like, he's not going to find you until you have your light. God can't, God doesn't pay attention to the ones that don't have a light because they're not ready for him. They're not looking for him yet. But when your light is flickering, that's when he finds you. And then it also says, don't commit the same sin and keep asking for forgiveness. Catholics. And then it says, don't pray for other people. Well, pray for other people, but don't pray because of other people. Or on the purpose of another person's sin. Don't pray on their behalf. Or something to that effect. There was something else. I'm going to remember when I hang up here. Oh. I don't know. But I know next year when we try to read when we read this Old Testament again, we should watch this video first. So yeah, the people and these rules. And then God says specifically, he doesn't want nothing to do with the blood. No blood, no blood. And then, like, hundreds of years later, he's like, even your blood libations. It's like, what? When did God do the blood thing? And Ben Syra giving this bad fucking advice all the time. Nothing but bad advice. And then telling you, watch out for other people giving you bad advice. I can be the only one to give you bad advice. There's a whole bunch of shit that I can't remember that I was mad about before. Oh, the children of Adam thing. Yeah, I don't believe we're children of Adam. I don't. Just think about it. All of those people were destroyed. But Noah and his sons. I don't know, maybe the evolution started like once the flood was over and everything dried up, and then things evolved, and humans still have to hump. I'm sure we humped whatever creatures were here during the evolution or whatever, right? And maybe we were fish mammal creatures. Maybe we did come from the water, way after the flood, because God wanted to get rid of all of that DNA, all of it. So how many years did he wait until the flood happened? Until Noah. Till there was so much mating going on that a person and a person got together and made Noah. So there was none of that demon blood in him. So he started over with him and his family. You know, and I don't remember who said it, but said, man, it only had to be every two animals from that area. But if I remember correctly, most every religion has a flood. Every religion has a guy on a boat. If all of those religions had that thing, then they would have saved the animals too. And then their game of Risk would start over from the beginning because somebody pissed all over the game board. So they had to start over. And here we are. You know what I mean? Like maybe we are a big game of Risk. I'm just glad I'm on God's team. It's like, I would hate to be on the losing team. I don't know. But I know the more I read this book, the more I kind of understand what's happening, and the more I don't understand what's happening. It's a really weird conundrum. It's like, man, I know this. And then it's like, man, I don't know this. But I know this, but I don't know. It's insane. I can't concentrate. But I know I can't wait to get to the New Testament on Monday.
Guess what?
What's
police,
up?
Police is an accurate sentence.
It needs commas.
No. Who polices the police? The police. Police. The police police the police. Police the police. Police the police.
There should be a who in there. The police. Who police, period.
No, there doesn't need to be. That's the whole thing. That's the thing with those. You don't need those.
What? There's a cat. All right.
Yes, the formal sentence would be police, who police.
No. The police. Who police, period.
Well, the period is, kind of suggest. It's always suggested. You don't need to say period.
Well, we're not looking at the words, so you have to have a...
We are looking at the words.
You have to put a punctuation at the end of it so you know that you're done. Because you could put a comma and continue.
No. The whole point of it is that sentence doesn't need a comma. It is a sentence unpunctuated.
Okay, I got one for you. Ready?
What?
The police. Who police. Policing police.
Okay, yeah. That one wouldn't need commas and punctuations.
No, I guess, but it would need a period.
They all would need periods.
That's why you should say period. So you can visualize the punctuation.
But it's suggested. That's the whole point of a period. It's ending the You don't say period.
Well,
the sentence is over.
I want to punctuate my imaginary sentence.
cookies okay to eat?
No, eat one.
You said no, they're not okay to eat.
No, eat it.
If it's not okay to eat, I'm not going to eat it.
No, those poison. No, those cookies are okay to eat. Period.
Okay, I asked if they were okay to eat. You said no. You said they would have been, yeah, they're fine. Go ahead.
Leave me alone. You're trying to make me imagine sentences. Oh my God. I'm imagining words. Well, those are the conversations in my life. So, thank you for enjoying my life with me. I love you and have the sweetest dreams ever.